I had a really great experience working on the role. I did like.
Keanu Reeves concealed his darkest struggles for years. He now has to make a difficult decision regarding John Wick 5 as his body deteriorates from decades of stunting. However, a more agonizing tale is revealed behind the scenes. River Phoenix, his best friend, passed away. The tragic accident that claimed his beloved daughter and the loss of his infant daughter. Today, we uncover the reason behind the silent suffering endured by Hollywood's most compassionate star. On September 2, 1964, Keanu Reeves was born in Beirut, Lebanon. Patricia Taylor, his mother, designed costumes in England. Samuel Reeves, his father, was a Chinese geologist from Hawaii. While his mother was performing and his father was working, they met in Beirut. Keanu's name means cool breeze over the mountains in Hawaiian. Keanu's life was busy from the beginning. He never stayed in one location for very long. His parents separated when he was 2 years old. His mother had to raise him and his younger sister, Kim, alone after his father left. It wasn't simple. Even his father had his share of hardships. He became involved with drugs and was taken into custody for selling heroin at a Hawaiian airport. At the age of 13, Keanu had his final encounter with him. Their last meeting was that one. His father vanished from his life after that. His mother put in a lot of effort to provide for the family. Although her work in entertainment introduced Keanu to new ideas, it also meant that things were always changing. She remarried several times, each time in a different city. After that, they relocated to Toronto, New York, and Sydney. Every time they packed up and moved, Keanu had to get used to new schools, new people, and a new way of life. The closest thing to a home was Toronto. However, life continued to move on even there. The second husband of his mother was a stage and movie director, but they were married for just a year. She got married to a rock this time. That also didn't last. She later wed a hairdresser. Keanu endured it all, seeing his mother make an effort to create a secure life, but nothing remained constant for very long. Another challenge was school. Over the course of 5 years, he attended 4 different high schools. It was difficult for him to keep up with reading because of his dyslexia. He was eventually expelled after struggling with the routine of traditional schooling. However, he had more important interests. His escape was hockey. In Toronto, where Keanu Reeves was raised, hockey was more than just a sport. It was a fact of life. He had genuine skill on the ice from a young age. He was so talented that he thought about trying out for the Ontario Hockey League's Windsor Spitfires. A significant step in the direction of a professional career, but things didn't work out. He had to find a new path after suffering a serious injury that ended his dreams. Although losing hockey hurt, it inspired him to pursue acting, which was unexpected. He was already accustomed to change from his early years. His family relocated frequently after his parents' divorce. His mother held various jobs while working as a costume designer. Keanu had to constantly adapt to new environments and schools as a result. He might have developed the resilience he would need in Hollywood as a result of that continuous change. When he was 17, he made a daring decision. In order to concentrate on acting, he left high school. Although giving up hockey wasn't simple, it ended up being the best choice he's ever made. He took the lessons with him even after his hockey career ended. He applied all of it to his acting, including his discipline, teamwork, and perseverance. He also never lost his passion for the game. He continues to play for enjoyment to this day, whenever he has the opportunity. In 1984, he made his acting debut with a small part in the Canadian television series Hanjin In. Although it wasn't a breakthrough, the comedy that aired on CBC was a beginning. One of his first significant on-camera experiences came around the same time he landed a Coca-Cola commercial. Although it was unglamorous, it boosted his self-esteem. He served as a correspondent for the CBC Youth series Going Great in the same year. He had to connect with young audiences, conduct interviews, and tell stories as part of his job. Although it was a different kind of performance, it aided in his skill development. He was also greatly influenced by stage acting. At the Leah Poslan's Theatre in North York, he played Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet in 1985. Although it was difficult, classical theater helped him gain a deeper comprehension of acting. He was laying a solid foundation for his career with TV parts, ads, and stage appearances. He even considered changing his name during this period. He was concerned that the unusual sound of Keanu Reeves might make it more difficult to get roles. However, he ultimately made the decision to continue. Something significant was reflected in that decision. He had no intention of altering his identity in order to blend in. When he was cast in River's Edge, a sinister crime drama that debuted at the Toronto International Film Festival in 1986, his career took a significant turn. The narrative followed a group of teenagers as they dealt with a murder's aftermath. Reeves portrayed the murderer's conflicted friend, Matt. Even though he wasn't the lead, his performance was noteworthy. It demonstrated nuance and depth, demonstrating his ability to handle weighty subject matter. He landed his first significant lead role in Permanent Record 2 years later. The movie addressed serious subjects like grief and teen suicide. Chris Townsend, a teenager dealing with the unexpected death of his best friend, was portrayed by Reeves. He was honest and vulnerable in his handling of the emotionally charged role. His performance had an effect. He wasn't just another young actor portraying troubled teenagers, as the critics saw. He was a true talent. His Hollywood debut was aided by these two movies, but it was his 1989 role that made all the difference. Because of his fantastic adventure with Ted, Bill became well known. The sci-fi comedy followed Ted Theodore Logan, Eskander, Alex Winter, and Bill S. Preston, two high school students. Played by Reeves, as they met historical figures while traveling through time in order to pass their history class. One of the first actors to try out for Ted was Reeves, who clicked with Winter right away. Their mutual passion for motorcycles and bass guitars allowed them to connect, which gave the characters a genuine feel. Although no one anticipated the film's success, viewers adored it. With a $10 million budget, it became a cult classic and made $40 million at the box office. With his easygoing demeanor and catchphrases like "whoa" and "excellent," Reeves' portrayal of Ted became iconic. He was a star almost immediately after. Due to its popularity, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was released in 1991 as a sequel. An animated series was even born out of the franchise. From 1990 to 1991, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures was broadcast. However, success also presented a challenge. He began to be perceived by many as Ted, a silly, naive teenager. His ability to play more serious roles was questioned by some critics. For years, that stereotype followed him. Reeves, however, wasn't the kind to let others define him. He had only just begun. Larger roles were coming up. Reeves was still best known for his role as Ted in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when Point Break was released on July 12, 1991. However, this movie revealed an entirely different side of him. He portrayed FBI agent Johnny Utah, who goes undercover to apprehend a group of bank robbers. They were not your typical criminals. They were surfers under the charismatic leadership of Patrick Swayze's character, Bodie. Although Johnny was meant to defeat them, he was captivated by their lifestyle. The movie was more than just an action movie because of that tension. It was heartfelt. The action sequences kept viewers on edge, and Reeves and Swayze had a captivating chemistry. Point Break demonstrated Reeves' ability to direct an action film and earned over $83 million globally. After 3 years, Speed advanced in his career. The movie, which was released on June 10, 1994, followed police officer Jack Traven as he had to prevent a bomb from going off on a bus. The bus would explode if the speed fell below 50 miles per hour. The idea was straightforward but powerful. Reeves portrayed Jack as a believable hero with a cool-headed resolve. The constant action was made more enjoyable by his chemistry with Sandra Bullock, who portrayed a passenger who was made to operate the bus. With over $350 million, the movie became one of the highest-grossing films of the year. Now, Reeves was a lucrative action star. Given how successful Speed was, a follow-up film seemed inevitable. But everyone was taken aback by Reeves. He also rejected Speed. Despite the fact that cruise control would have been a simple source of income, He preferred to take chances and try out various roles instead. His choice demonstrated that he wasn't merely seeking notoriety. His goal was to become a better actor. He founded My Own Private Idaho in 1991 as a result of his same risk-taking attitude. The Gus Van Sant-directed movie was entirely distinct from the action parts that would later come to characterize his career. It came after. Reeves and River Phoenix portray two young hustlers who journeyed across the nation in pursuit of purpose. Scott Favre, portrayed by Reeves, was a wealthy young man who turned down his affluent lifestyle. The film, which explored themes of love, identity, and self-discovery, was unvarnished and heartfelt. Reeves received accolades from critics for his genuineness and depth. He was more than just a movie star. He was also capable of handling challenging dramatic roles. However, not all risks were profitable. Reeves experienced some career setbacks in the mid-1990s. The 1995 release of Johnny Mnemonic was expected to be a success. Its cyberpunk setting seemed ahead of its time, and it was based on a story by William Gibson. However, the movie failed to connect with viewers and only made $17 million worldwide, which was far less than what was anticipated. Chain Reaction, which had trouble at the box office in 1996, was another blunder. These movies raised doubts about Reeves' ability to make a film that wasn't an action hit. Then, in 1999, came The Matrix. This movie transformed cinema in addition to reviving Reeves' career. The Wachowskis' film The Matrix presented viewers with a world in which machines controlled reality. Reeves portrayed Neo, a hacker who became humanity's last hope after learning the truth. The movie's groundbreaking special effects included the now iconic bullet time scenes. However, it was more than just the pictures. The narrative raised complex issues regarding fate, reality, and free will. Reeves gave The Matrix his whole attention. He didn't just act. In order to execute his own stunts, he spent months learning wire work and kung fu. The action felt authentic because of his commitment. The movie made over $463 million worldwide, making it an enormous success. One of the most well-known characters in film history is Neo. Two sequels, The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions, were released in 2003 as a result of The Matrix's success. Reeves had evolved beyond his role as an action star. He was a worldwide celebrity. The impact of the movie went beyond Hollywood. Its ideas and imagery were used in conversations about philosophy, fashion, and even music. Reeves became the franchise's face and one of his generation's most adored actors thanks to his portrayal of Neo. Reeves made a comeback to the franchise in 2021 with The Matrix Resurrections. He had established a reputation as more than just an actor by that point. He was well known for his generosity, modesty, and commitment to his work. Prior to the 2014 release of John Wick, Keanu Reeves was in a bad place. Although he was well known, his career had slowed. Hollywood wasn't giving him the same chances, and some of his recent films hadn't performed well. His career as a leading man seemed to be coming to an end. However, a movie that came out altered everything. John Wick wasn't your typical action film. It was a tale of retribution, loss, and a man who had nothing left to lose. Reeves portrayed a retired hitman who, after his car was stolen and his dog was killed, went on a murderous rampage. His late wife's last gift. Despite being straightforward, the story had a unique element. The action was fierce. And it produced a world that had never been seen before. Making the film wasn't simple. Neither David Leitch nor Chad Stahelski had ever directed a motion picture before. Lionsgate took a chance and purchased the rights just 2 months prior to release, despite the fact that studios weren't sure Reeves could still carry an action film. The movie became an event in large part because of the marketing. It was obvious from the trailers. This wasn't your average action film. It featured Keanu Reeves in a role that was a perfect fit for him, as well as style and accuracy. The movie debuted on October 13, 2014, in New York. Reeves accompanied Andy, the puppy who portrayed his dog in the movie, on the red carpet. John Wick debuted in theaters all over the United States a week later. Nobody had high expectations. analysts estimated its first weekend earnings to be between $7 and $10 million. Rather, it brought in $14.4 million. Out of that, $2.5 million came from IMAX screenings alone. Although it wasn't a record-breaking amount, it was a significant victory for an R-rated action film with a small budget. It was praised by critics. They gave it high marks for Reeves' performance, the world-building, and the clean action sequences. Critics weren't the only ones, though. The movie struck a chord with viewers that no one had anticipated. Assassins felt different from other movies in theaters because of its underground setting, complete with codes and secret rules. Additionally, Reeves gave John Wick a subdued intensity that helped make the character memorable. Due to the movie's success, Reeves was able to return to Hollywood. However, it was more than just the film. It had to do with his behind-the-scenes labor. Prior to filming, he spent months training. He became an expert in stunt driving, weapons handling, and martial arts. He was acting out his fight scenes, so they appeared authentic. He was performing stunts that even experienced stunt performers struggled with by the time they began filming. Chapter 4 of John Wick describes how his training advanced to a new level. He trained for 12 weeks, learning sophisticated gun skills and driving maneuvers like high-speed drifts and 180-degree spins. In all 4 films, he did more than 90% of the stunts himself. His commitment became one of the main factors that made the franchise unique among action movie franchises. Halle Berry, who first appeared in the series in Chapter 3 of John Wick, put in just as much training. While getting ready for her role, she broke 3 ribs, but she didn't give up. Her battle sequences turned into some of the most memorable in the series, demonstrating that the actors were truly acting like action stars rather than merely posing as such. On a budget of about $20 to $30 million, the first John Wick film earned $86 million worldwide. With $171 million, the sequel more than doubled that amount. Next came Chapter 3 of John Wick, which went on to make $326 million. But Chapter 4 of John Wick was the biggest surprise. One of the highest-grossing action franchises ever, it made over $440 million. Keanu Reeves has been challenging his body for decades. From The Matrix to John Wick, he has put in countless hours of training, executed his own stunts, and endured countless blows to make his characters come to life. At 60, however, his body is beginning to rebel. He revealed something unexpected to his fans in a recent interview. His knees might prevent him from playing John Wick, but his heart still wants to. He said, "You can never say never. My heart beats faster than my knees, which are telling me that I can't do another John Wick. However, I'm not sure if my knees can handle it." Even someone as committed as Reeves has his limits after years of grueling action sequences and intense fight scenes. This begs serious questions regarding John Wick 5's future. With its breathtaking choreography and unrelenting energy, the franchise has completely changed the genre of action films. What will happen, though, if Reeves is unable to bear the same degree of discipline? Without him, would the series even make sense, or might it slow down? His hesitancy is evident, but he hasn't ruled anything out. Reeves isn't abandoning the John Wick universe just yet, even though a 5th movie is still up in the air. He has previously filmed a cameo for the spin-off Ballerina, which stars Ana de Armas. Reeves will remain connected to the world he helped create as the movie is scheduled for release in 2025. Fans will not be able to enjoy the full John Wick experience, but it's still something. More losses than most people can comprehend have befallen Keanu Reeves. Beneath his serene demeanor lies a man who has experienced repeated heartbreak. When he lost his best friend River Phoenix to a drug overdose in 1993, it was one of the most tragic events in his life. While filming My Own Private Idaho in 1991, the two had become close. Their acting abilities weren't the only thing on display in that film. They developed a strong bond as a result. River passed away at the age of just 23. River was at the Viper Room, a West Hollywood club, that evening. He was scheduled to play with the Red Hot Chili Peppers' Flea and John Frusciante as part of the band P. River had been on a risky drug binge, but it should have been a fun and musical evening. He hadn't slept for days and had combined cocaine and heroin. He eventually began to feel ill. The situation worsened as the night wore on. He collapsed on the sidewalk after leaving the club. His body began to tremble. Joaquin, his brother, dialed 911. However, it was already too late when assistance finally arrived. He was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center by paramedics, but nothing could be done. On October 31, 1993, at 1:51 a.m., he was declared deceased. Keanu was heartbroken. He was forever altered by losing River. It went beyond simply losing a friend. The loss was the loss of a family member. He didn't talk about it very often, but when he did, it was with a heavy heart. Keanu met Jennifer Syme 5 years later. She had been director David Lynch's assistant, and the two fell in love right away. They discovered they were expecting a child in 1999. Instead of being a period of happiness, it turned into yet another tragic period in Keanu's life. Ava Archer Syme Reeves, their daughter, was stillborn around Christmas of that year. They were broken by the loss. Their relationship started to deteriorate because the grief was too great. Despite their eventual separation, they continued to care for one another. Then tragedy happened once more. Jennifer struck a line of parked cars on Cahuenga Boulevard while she was driving in Los Angeles. She did not have on a seatbelt. She died instantly after being thrown from the car by the impact. She was just 28. She had attended a party at Marilyn Manson's house that evening. She never returned home after leaving early in the morning. Later, police discovered prescription medications in her vehicle. It was an intolerable loss. After losing so much already, Keanu now had to bid farewell to a person with whom he had once hoped to start a family. He was grieving as he stood as a pallbearer at her funeral. Musicians Dave Navarro and director David Lynch were also present and joined in the grief. Lynch honored Jennifer's memory by dedicating his movie Mulholland Drive to her. Keanu's lesson from all the suffering was to stay close to the people he cared about. When his sister, Kim Reeves, was given a leukemia diagnosis in 1991, that became even more evident. For almost 10 years, she fought the illness, and Keanu was by her side the entire time. To take care of her, he put his career on hold. He made sure she had everything she needed, moved in with her, and assisted her during her treatments. He has been managing a private foundation that funds children's hospitals and cancer research for many years. The reason for it is very personal, but he hardly ever discusses it. After receiving a leukemia diagnosis in 1991, his sister Kim battled the illness for 10 years until it went into remission in 2001. He was changed by seeing her go through that. It inspired him to assist those going through similar struggles. I have a private foundation that's been running for 5 or 6 years, and it helps aid a couple of children's hospitals in cancer research, he said in a 2009 interview, mentioning his foundation in passing. I dislike putting my name on it. I simply let the foundation take care of itself. That sums him up perfectly. He does not do it to gain attention. It matters to him, so he does it. He is far more generous than that. He answered phones as part of the Stand Up to Cancer telethon to help raise funds for research. Over the years, he has also participated in other fundraising initiatives without drawing much attention to it. His deeds speak for themselves, but he is defined by more than just large donations. His true nature is revealed in the small, silent acts of kindness. A paparazzi camera captured him sharing snacks with a homeless man on a West Hollywood sidewalk in 1997. He wasn't merely providing food, though. He sat beside him, listening, laughing, and engaging in genuine conversation. That's just the way he is. It wasn't for the cameras or show. Then he assisted a woman on the side of the road whose car had broken down. Stopping, he attempted to jumpstart it. But he called a tow truck after that failed. That would have been sufficient on its own, but he went further. He offered to go almost 50 miles out of his way to drive her home. He gave her his number in case she needed anything else, and they spoke the whole time before he left. He maintains his groundedness even in the midst of a bustling metropolis. He has frequently been seen as a regular subway rider, not as a famous person. Without hesitation, he has offered his seat to pregnant women and older riders. He doesn't think he is any different from other people. What sets him apart is his humility. His generosity also extends to his co-workers. He made a decision during the Matrix sequels that shocked the film industry. In order to increase the compensation for the costume and special effects teams, he reportedly forfeited a significant amount of his earnings, approximately $75 million. He wanted them to receive recognition for their contributions because he knew they were the ones who made the movie what it was. It wasn't the only occasion, either. He donated almost $1 million of his own salary to each member of the post-production and visual effects teams after The Matrix became a huge hit. These were individuals who, regardless of a movie's level of success, rarely received bonuses. Reeves saw to it that they did. In order to ensure that key actors or crew members could be hired, he has also taken pay cuts in other films. Although Keanu Reeves rarely discusses his charitable work, there are countless anecdotes about it. He doesn't have to help, he does it because he wants to. He has stayed the same in a world where people are frequently changed by fame. He isn't being nice to get attention. He's just like that.